Adjourns James Jachikwasin's case as NDC MPs rally in support.
I want to let them know that we are united, we are resolute, and we stand ready to defy their intimidation tactics and to ensure that our colleagues who are being persecuted get all they need.
Minority in Parliament boycott sitting in solidarity with prosecuted members, forcing adjournment.
In Parliament to even ask those questions. The ministers were there, the answers were provided, but yet none of them were not in the chamber, in the excuse that they have accompanied somebody to court. I don't know what kind of democracy or parliamentary procedure is this.
Members of National Food Suppliers Association spent 3 days, 2 nights at premises of National Food Buffer Stock Company, despite assurances from the government to have their debts settled. And later on CNR Extra, NPP concludes flag bearer vetting process with Mike Okwe committee expected to present report on July 10.
The party, in submitting this, has listed under duties and responsibilities what every aspirant is expected to do and what officers of the party are expected to do. That is not the mandate of this committee. As I said, the committee is to submit a report to the National Party that such persons are qualified.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV. You can join us for your thoughts, submissions, and comment via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can join us there on CityTube. Neil Latte, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Philip. I'm well. How are you today?
Okay, I'm doing great. Let's bring you the very first story. Let's take you to court where the Jachikwasin's case was adjourned following what happened in Parliament. But before we bring you that particular insert, Neelate, this is a conversation that has gone on for a very long time. Also before the by-elections was held. After the by-elections, we had the Domahini, who is also a High Court judge, coming in to talk about this case. And also yesterday, the NDC came out with a statement accusing the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, of being selective in the cases he describes to or decides to pursue, amongst other comments that have been made. But in your initial comment before we go on to this particular exit.
Well, if you look at how far this particular one has traveled, you realize that, well, the NDC members of Parliament are actually, not backing down on their push to ensure that what they say is justice is served on this particular matter, because they think that, well, the member of Parliament for Asin North has actually committed no crime, for which reason they want to, quote unquote, describe it as persecution.
Exactly.
And so you will realize that they've actually drawn in other members of the party who have actually been subjected to some legal trial. So for it not to look as if, well, it is only because of James Jachikwasin they are doing it. So they've broadened, their concerns, for which reason yesterday we saw what happened in court. I know we'll be getting into that very shortly.
In fact, let's get into it now and bring you what happened in court leading to the adjournment of the case. Let's bring you that insert.
The High Court in Accra has adjourned the case of Asin North MP James Jachikwasin to July 11, where a ruling will be delivered on the application for a stay of execution. Now, lawyers representing the embattled MP moved the motion in a court packed with NDC members of Parliament who had boycotted parliamentary proceedings. Here is the full report.
Lead counsel for James Jachikwasin, Chachu Chikata, presented his case in favor of staying proceedings in the High Court, allowing the Court of Appeal to hear the application for a review of the decision to try the matter on a daily basis. Chachichikata outlined the grounds for the appeal, starting with the assertion that hearing the case on a daily basis undermined the laws governing discretionary powers. According to him, Article 296 of the Constitution sets limitations on the use of discretionary powers which should be exercised in a fair and candid manner. He argued that the decision to hold daily trials failed to meet this standard. Additionally, he contended that the appeal violated the rules of fair trial as stated in Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution. Another ground for the appeal was the alleged prejudicial comments made by Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame and President Akufo-Addo. The defense team for Judge Kwesen argued that these comments could influence the outcome of the trial. However, the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame opposed the application, deeming it grossly incompetent and urging the court to dismiss it. He argued that the appeal was based on the ruling for the daily trial to take place between June 20 and June 23. Since the application was filed after this period, the Attorney General considers it useless. Furthermore, Godfred Yeboah-Dame refuted claims made against him and the President, saying that they had not made any prejudicial comments relating to the trial. During the proceedings, Judge Kwesen was accompanied by members of the minority group who had boycotted parliamentary proceedings. After the court session, the NDC's communication officer addressed the media on behalf of the group.
We are telling the government that they may have their own plans about intimidating our people, harassing them, persecuting them, making sure that they wouldn't have the time and the focus to do their work as members of parliament in the House. I want to let them know that we are united, we are resolute, and we stand ready to defy their intimidation tactics and to ensure that our colleagues who are being persecuted get all the needed support to weather this storm, so that at the end of the day, justice would be done. We don't think that it is right for the trial to be rushed. Yes, the accused is entitled to a fair trial within a reasonable time. But as the lawyers say, justice hurried is justice buried. The lawyers require ample time to do what is required of them, so that at the end of the day, the truth and justice will be upheld by the court.
James Judge Kwesen expressed his gratitude to the supporters who had gathered at the court complex in a show of solidarity. In a separate case, the trial of minority leader Dr. Case Latuforsen was adjourned due to the absence of one of the accused persons who was unable to attend due to ill health.
So that was exactly what happened in court. But what the lawyers of embattled MP they are asking for is to move for an application for the court to stay proceedings to allow for the Court of Appeal to hear its appeal, to review a decision by the trial judge to hear the case on a daily basis. But the lead counsel, that is Chachu Chikata, he is the lead counsel for the team. He argued that any decision not to stay the proceedings will be prejudging the appeal. But the prosecution lead, that is led by Godfred Yeboah-Dame, he, however, opposed to the application. This is, in a way, we will bring you the insight for that of what happened in Parliament very soon. But in a way, it looks like it's also affecting parliamentary duties.
I mean, for me, I think, one, both parties should be measured in, both commentaries that they run as far as this particular issue is concerned. Well, you may want to understand that, well, they are fighting for what they think that is due them. And so you have one party saying that, well, justice hurried is justice buried. Another party saying the direct opposite, which is justice delayed being justice denied. And so for me, one, I think the commentary by, government officials and also some top government, machinery, and also you realize that a number of people are actually telling government to exercise some bit of, constraints as far as and circumspection as far as this particular issue is concerned. Well, if you listen to people like, former Attorney General Nia Ikwe-Otu, you realize that he says that the NPP in particular should be mindful of, future elections in Asin North, because he fears that, well, if things are handled poorly, it will go against the party in future elections in the same constituency. And so you realize that I want to say that government should step back a bit, allow the court to make its decision, and also, allow proceedings to take their course. It shouldn't be as if, well, they will be running commentaries that, will give the opposition party the avenue to say that, well, you are persecuting, you are intimidating us and all that. Because, well, the court has its discretionary powers. Well, the court or the trial judge is saying that, well, he wants to go ahead to do it on a, a daily basis. Well, they've gone to court, they said, no, we want to appeal that. And they think that this particular decision of having James tried on a daily basis will affect his parliamentary business. But a prosecution wants to go ahead and do it, for which reason they filed in a motion for, a stay of proceeding pending the outcome or decision of the appeals court, which is much higher than the high court that is actually hearing the case. So I think both parties should let, the right proceedings, take their course to ensure that because this particular case actually sends strong signals to, the kind of things you are seeing in Parliament now. I know we'll be going into...
Yes, rightly so. So let's just go into it, because what happened in court yesterday had a toll in the activities in Parliament. Let's bring that insight.
Majority in Parliament boycotted Thursday's sitting to accompany and solidarize with two members of the caucus who were facing prosecution in court by the Attorney General. This forced Parliament to adjourn sitting since the House could not undertake any major business activity as a result of the move. City News' Ni Aikwe Okan has more in the following report.
The minority members in Parliament on Thursday boycotted parliamentary proceedings to accompany two of their colleagues, the minority leader Dr. Kesi Alatoforsen and the Member of Parliament for Asin North, James Jachikwesen, to the court during their trial. Now the House was left with a few of the majority MPs to conduct business.
They were elected to come and sit in Parliament. They were not elected to be accompanying people to court. Their constituents should take note that today they asked a lot of questions about their educational infrastructure, about their health infrastructure, and about tourism in their various constituencies. But they were not in Parliament to even ask those questions. The ministers were there, the answers were provided, but yet none of them were not in the chamber, in the excuse that they have accompanied somebody to court. I don't know what kind of democracy or parliamentary procedure is this, but we are watching them keenly, and the business of the day is done for now. So if we as legislators are making laws and we expect the judiciary to implement it, now we are now telling them that so now Kwesen is above every other Ghanaian, so they should actually call that all cases in court should be dropped, but not of a particular person. Thank you.
Because if something happens, we don't take if we allow him to be not acquitted, but if there's no prosecutor, then obviously you're setting a precedent that would linger on into the future. However, it doesn't also exonerate him, because another Attorney General can come in the future and pick it up and decide to prosecute him. So for me, I think the best thing for him is to go through the processes. If he's found not guilty, hooray, he'll come back and come and work with us. If he's found guilty, he pays for his crimes, and then we continue and move on.
The minority members on the Health Committee of Parliament addressed the media, raising concerns about the suspension of some duties of the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, particularly with regards to its market surveillance and the general manufacturing processes inspection.
One, the market surveillance. And two is what they call GMP, the general manufacturing processes inspection. These are very, very key activities that helps the Food and Drugs Authority to perform its functions. Now, it will interest you to know that Food and Drugs Authority has stopped these activities, subjecting everybody in the public to a very high risk. In fact, the market surveillance is what...
So the House was virtually empty, almost all, not almost, all of them. That is, the minority side weren't in Parliament. They went to court in solidarity of their two members who were in court yesterday. But the majority is not enthused about it. They are not okay about it. What they are saying is that once you are in Parliament, you should be able to let parliamentary activities go on. But then again, the NDC, like I stated earlier, came out with a statement talking about the selectiveness of the AG in some of the cases that he decides to pursue, amongst other things.
Well, you expect the minority to say that. That's why they brought in someone like, Stephen Oponi, Kokobot Scandal, also Atoforsin, Ambulance, Collins Dawda Saglemi, and even Ofosuampo for those insightful comments he said to have made in the lead up to the 2020 elections. So that, like I was saying, it doesn't look as if it is only James Jachikwesin they are using to it. Yeah. But my biggest worry actually is the consequence of this boycott by the minority MPs on the business of the House, especially because of, the issue of numbers in Parliament. Well, if all minority MPs are going out, for how long are they going to do this? And for example, if
and it looks
James
like this is how it's going to be for a very long time, because
is,
on Tuesday, the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, after the swearing in of James Jachikwesin, made mention of the fact that this is how it's going to be any time there is a consequence.
And Philip, the continuous absence of these MPs is actually a breach of some of the standing orders in Parliament, because you know that as MP, you cannot absent yourself in Parliament for a number of days without, proper permission. And so for how long are they going to do this? Are they thinking through? You know how some decisions have been taken in Parliament because minority members have boycotted. They came back asking for, revote and all that. So I'm just saying that they should be measured. I know they are fighting for a just cause. I mean, for them as a party or as a caucus. But also, this shouldn't be at the detriment of, the actual business of that, because it doesn't speak well of our democracy as a country. And so I'm expecting that, well, they may have to, reconsider their decision. You can actually show solidarity, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to abandon, your core business or your core mandate as a legislator and then be going to court just because you want to, solidarize with your member. You can do that in various, forms and shapes. And so they should think. We know of the, well, their point is that, well, they want to persecute their members of Parliament so that the majority will have a slim majority in Parliament if any of these things that we are talking about happen. And so very difficult moments for, the House of Legislature. And that's where the calls for, the discontinuation of these cases actually come in. And so people are actually thinking that because of the kind of parliament we have now, a hang one, of course, if you are to, follow these particular issues to the latter, it will be very difficult for us as a country. So the Attorney General should consider, entering into what the lawyers who refer to as nolli prosequa to ensure that some of these things are put to rest. And so they are returning on Tuesday. Yeah. The case involving James Jachikwesin has also been adjourned to July 11, where the High Court will actually be giving its ruling on, the stay of proceedings pending, what the appeals court will actually say as far as, the issue of daily trial of James Jachikwesin is concerned. So we are looking forward to that.
Exactly. We'll be following those stories keenly, first in court, and also what will be happening on the floor of Parliament. Away from those stories, and members of the Food Suppliers Association, they are saying that until government pays them, they are not leaving the premises of the buffer stock company. Let's bring you that insight.
So let us know, where exactly are you now and what's going on there?
I am at the presence of the National Food
And this is where suppliers who are numbering about 15 to 20 for the past 3 days, that is from Tuesday, have been picketing in demand of their monies that they say they've worked for over the past 2 years. So these are disgruntled workers who have been supplying various food items, including maize, millet, rice, sugar, amongst others, to the various senior high schools under the school feeding program, which is under the free SHS policy. And unfortunately, they say that over the past years, they have not been reimbursed by the National Food Buffer Stock Company Limited. And we've been reporting on their concerns over the period. So currently, as I speak to you, well, it's evening and these people are still here. We've already seen a statement from the Buffer Stock Company Limited giving some sort of assurances that they are going to work with the relevant stakeholders to be able to pay them what is due them. But the news newest information now is that the sector minister, that is the minister in charge of agriculture, that is Brian Champon, was here some few minutes, and he spoke to the disgruntled members here. Unfortunately, he did not allow cameras to take videos of what transpired here. But then after his briefing with them, he gave them some assurances. He says that they should suspend their picketing now and go to their various destinations so that they can work on getting the finance ministry to pay them monies owed them. But now the bone of contention is that whether or not to suspend this particular picketing. So as I speak to you, well, we do not know whether the picketing has been suspended or not, because the members are yet to decide on the current situation. And I'm sure you see a lot of them here. Some of them do not know whether to leave now because they say they have not seen their monies yet, and that is what they have been waiting for. I just want to speak to one of the suppliers here, this particular lady. She seems that she says she's not going to leave here until she sees money or she's given a check. And so she's not really joining the forces who say that they want to leave here. So I just want to speak to her briefly on the situation. Minister no abahanom ene mababe kasa dia na wo dwene fa ho.
Oh, dia me dwene fa ho ni say waba but
So the situation is that the authorities do not want their members to speak as of now, and that is because they are yet to decide what is going to happen to them. And so she already told me that she doesn't want to, speak on camera, and that is because she's not sure whether to leave here or not. But most of them are not ready to leave here because they say that they want the authorities, that is the Agric Ministry, to officially show them some money, and that is when they will be able to say that they are leaving here or not. That is the situation. So they are all tight-lipped, and that's because their leadership, the gentleman you saw is one of their leaders here, he doesn't want them to speak as of now. So Firma, the news is that the Agric Minister has intervened. He's asked them to leave the premises and go home as he works towards getting them their monies. We do not know whether these people are going to pay heed to the call by the Agric Minister.
No, but can you say that the numbers are going down, comparing the number of people you are seeing now as against what we saw yesterday, Kweku?
Well, so some of them I have seen are getting into their various vehicles, especially those who are in the Greater Accra region. So some of them have indicated that they are leaving the premises now because, well, if the minister has spoken, it's some good faith for them, and so they are going to leave the premises. But those who came from the other regions, like the Bono region, the Volta region, and all of that, they are not so sure of leaving because they believe that the minister should have given them, proper some sort of commitment for them to say that yes, they want to leave. So that is the situation here. She's also one of the suppliers here. Agric Minister Nemwa Babekasa Sena who found
Agric Minister say enko na ye ochina ubeshia ye secretary no ye mpenifo no mo ne bekasa up to Friday there obesen shia a meeting na nka ye beti asem papa ana ebisa na si no betua ye ka na o si da bi wanka so betua ye ka na so obetua ye asem papa nti no ye nko na ye beti omunka.
Okay, well, so she's one of the food suppliers here, and essentially she's saying that what the minister has told them is to give them assurances that they are going to make sure that the finance ministry settles them the debt that is owed them.
So this was a conversation Firma Edunyame had with Kweku Ansa last night when he went to the premises of the buffer stock company when the Minister for Agriculture came there to speak to the members of the food suppliers to call off their picketing. But then again, they said no, they are not going to call off. You bring you an insert of one of them speaking to us. But before that, The ranking member on the Parliament Education Committee, Peter Nochukutwe, he has accused the National Food Buffer Stock Company of dishonesty in its dealings with the National Food Suppliers Association. They say that they are going to embark or get into an investigation to see really how much these members of the food suppliers are owed, and also ensure that they are paid. Last night, the National Food Buffer Stock Company also came out with a statement indicating that they will enter into some form of meetings with all the stakeholders to ensure that we get to the end of this particular issue.
But what exactly is the challenge here? We are not being told. That's actually where the problem lies. Because if you listen to players in the space, they will tell you that the Parliament actually made provisions, actually made payment to the Ministry of Education, which is the sector ministry, and also. So the question now is, did they make payment to the buffer stock? If the payment was made to the buffer stock company, why is it that these suppliers are still being owed? What exactly is the challenge? What exactly has led us to this particular situation? We do not have details on that, so we are not too clear. The challenge these, authorities are facing, for which reason they may have to make payment to, these persons who have masked up the premises for days, 3 days, continuous, and so. It was good that the minister responsible for Agric was there yesterday to speak to them. At least you expect that, these aggrieved persons will soften their stance a bit and to meet government halfway to have a discussion with them on the way forward. However, you realize that they still remain adamant in leaving the premises. The reason could simply be because they cannot trust government. Exactly. We've seen government, paying lip service to some of these assurances without any proper actions, for which reason they do not want to take what the minister has said, hook, line, and sinker, for them to leave the premises. And so the responsibility now lies with government to ensure that the deadline it has given these persons that today is going to engage with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that these debts are settled actually happens. If payment is made today, I'm sure these persons will actually leave the premises for everybody to be okay with, the level of collaboration and all that. And so government must actually pay action to what it has said.
But the big question is, will these members of the food suppliers move away from the premises where they are picketed? Did they accept what the minister said yesterday? Let's bring you an insight of one of them speaking to City News.
It's a date that maybe tomorrow your checks will be ready. That is what pushed me here this evening. And we are not living here till the money is paid. The minister cannot tell us that tomorrow we will tell you when we will pay. That's an insult to us. It's an insult to us. Let the minister know. I wish I would have met him here. That is an insult to our intelligence. We've given a lot of respect. They are aware. This is not a NDC MPP matter. They are all aware. Okay, the money, some people have been paid up to December. They should check their books. The reason why people have been paid up to December and some have not been paid, they should check their books. I want my money, and if they like, the whole Ghana should mark my face. I don't need a job here again. I want my money.
So the money we are talking about involved here is some 278 million Ghana cedis, and you saw the one of them is she's not going to move until the monies are paid.
Yeah, because their creditors are actually on their neck. I mean, they've borrowed for some time now for them to be able to, provide the food supplies and all that. They are not able to, pay back their debt. Suppliers or creditors are actually not happy with the delay in payment.
They're even calling them
as some of them have also expressed, fears that some of the assets that they use as collateral to acquire these loans will actually be auctioned and also taken over by financial institutions there. So there's a mixed bag of issues. One, like government paying, giving assurances. The parties involved actually are not really much into it because they know that government and you can't blame them that much, because at least we've seen what has happened in the past. Pensioners have gathered at the finance ministry to demand a payment of their bonds. The same approach that they will not leave the premises until they are paid. Government comes in.
They want a sign of commitment.
Yes. That's why I'm saying that beyond the visit of the minister, let's see proper work happening. I mean, you cannot continue to, pay lip service to some of these things. And it's not only them. And it's not good for the whole, business environment, ecosystem, even for you as a government that wants to break the 8 and all that. When people are old, you just have to make sure that they are paid what is due them. How will you feel if you also give them money for them to supply food items and they do not deliver? You go after them to ensure that your money is put to proper use. So in the company, I know they are still there picketing. Some of them have actually taken ill, which is a serious problem. I mean, somebody asking government to give him or her what is due turns out that he or she becomes sick. I mean, it's unacceptable.
We will follow the story keenly and tell you what happens concerning this particular issue as to when government is paying these members of the food suppliers and how soon they'll leave the premises of the buffer stock company. You're still watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still to come. NPP concludes flag bearer vetting process with Michael Koye committee expected to present a report on July 10. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
The day of a competition, from the shores to the pools to the beaches across the land. If you fancy yourself a competitive swimmer, this is for you. The City TV National Swimming Championships is happening on the 15th and the 16th of July 2023 at the Trust Sports Emporium. To register, WhatsApp your name, age and contact details to 0558 973 973 or call 0205 973 973. The City TV National Swimming Championships is brought to you by City TV with support from 97.3 City FM and the Ghana Swimming Association.
Welcome back. This is CNR Extra here on City TV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can join us there on City TV. Let's bring you more stories. And the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, that is James Kluche Avechi, he is not excited about the fact that the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Educhum, did not appear before the committee.
Person of the Public Accounts Committee, James Kluche Avechi, has issued a warning to the Minister of Education, Yao Educhum, regarding his non-appearance before the committee to review the Auditor General's report on the ministry's activities. Mr. Avechi emphasized that if the minister continues to neglect appearing before the committee, it will be compelled to exercise its legally granted powers. Now, this caution was given after Mr. Educhum failed to attend the committee session on Thursday. City News reporter Anne Shelizi provides further details in this report.
On Thursday, the Public Accounts Committee scheduled a session for the Ministry of Education and its agencies and the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations to address the Auditor General's report pertaining to their respective ministries. The Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, along with its agencies, appeared before the committee and responded to queries regarding factory inspections nationwide and unrecovered revenues. In his address to the committee, Deputy Minister for Employment, Bright Reku-Brobe, expressed optimism that the ongoing labour disputes between TUC and Sona Sogli will soon be resolved to prevent an impending strike.
You would attest to the fact that the industrial front atmosphere has been very finality on that matter.
Furthermore, he appealed to the committee to recommend to Parliament that the National Labour Commission be authorized to intervene in labour disputes and charge fees for its services.
The moment is free. You don't pay any money to access their services. So in future, I will come to you, and if you recommend that we pay some, as we are reviewing the Labour Act, if you can give us opportunity to charge very little, So the Labour Commission is doing well, and also having expanded into the regions. We used to have them in Accra. Currently, we have Labour Commission offices in Takoradi, in Western Region in Takoradi. We have one in Tema, and then in Kumasi. So you can see we are expanding bit by bit. So we give opportunity for people up north, not to come to Accra all the time, but access justice in these areas that are closer to them.
During the hearing, Chairperson James Klucha-Veggie advised the Minister of Education to exhibit respect for the committee's authority. This advice stems from the Minister's failure to attend the committee session on Thursday. Mr. Veggie called upon the Minister to acknowledge the committee's significance and cooperate accordingly.
Letters were sent to the ministry inviting them to come or to appear before the committee today. We have not had any response from them whether they will not be able to appear for us to reschedule them. We have not had that information written to us. So we are prepared to take them today. So if calling them now and none of them is here, Minister, if you are listening to us, please kindly give some respect to this committee. We'll try our best to give you another date. But if that date you fail to come, well, the powers that we have as a committee under Article 103 of the Constitution will exercise it.
James Klucha-Veggie, who is the chairman of PAC, wasn't excited about the fact that the Education Ministry, led by the Education Minister, was not at the committee. But then again, the Labour Ministry appeared there, where Bright Rekubrobe, who is the Deputy Minister, made mention of a number of things. But the non-appearance of the Minister, I think that some explanation would have to be given. I'm sure maybe the PAC committee would get that explanation.
Well, I mean, if you are held before, such a committee as a government official to respond to, issues related to your sector, you are expected to, come in and then clear all doubts and clear all issues. But if for one reason or the other you are unable to make it, I think the right thing for you to do is, explain to the committee ahead of time for your inability to make it and all that. Because
from what James said, this is like the second time this is happening, because he sent them first notice that you're supposed to appear on this date. It was rescheduled, and I'm sure that maybe something in there.
If it's not deliberate, then you may want to, ask for explanation from the minister. If it is, then it means that, well, it's a complete disregard to the committee, for which reason they are raising these concerns. And so, for me, I just think that if they are unable to reach the minister, answers to their questions. And for a sector like education, we've seen a number of issues, allegations of, placement, fraud, inability to, provide, education materials, procurement issues, supply issues, food supply issues, diversion of funds, among other things. So I know the minister can come out and explain, because we've seen it before. Because when the issue of placement fraud, for example, came, he did come out to. He held a whole press conference trying to, correct the wrong impressions that have, been put out there. I just think that I don't want to hold brief for him. Maybe for a special reason, that's why he's unable to, make it. But for me, whatever the case is, I think he must give due respect to the committee, because this is a committee set up by an act of parliament. their rights committee. They have the mandate to do so. And we know that no one is above the law. Everyone is equal before the law. And I mean, some of these things do not actually send, good signals for some people following this particular issue. And so I think the Honourable Minister must do the honourable thing, as you see, appear
and
before
he
the
may
Congress.
have to speak to the Public Accounts Committee on the
exactly,
reasons why
exactly
those
so.
are able to appear. Anyway, still on labour front issues, and the organised labour is not excited, or rather disappointed, over the failure of Sonon Asogli to reinstate workers as ANPAS continues.
Labour says it is disappointed with Sonon Asogli Power Limited's decision to not reinstate 3 of the local union workers whose contracts were terminated. The group wants Sonon Asogli Power Limited to get their local union members reinstated after what they described as wrongful termination of their contracts. Not despite crunch meetings with the government and the company, organised labour says a resolution has not been reached. Addressing the media, the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yao Ba, stated that their intended nationwide strike on Monday, July 10, 2023 still stands until a fair solution is reached by close of the week.
Today, I should say that we are very disappointed. When we left, we will get a deal. All what money are ready to provide. We went them yesterday after National Labour Commission. You know, I was smiling when I was talking to you, because I knew what had gone on. And we were all hopeful, very, very hopeful. Today we came here and the meeting didn't go as we expected. So we still have not concluded the negotiation. What that means is that our notice holds that on Monday, 10th of July 2023, all workers under organized labor will stay at home. So we are still talking. The president, the government, the ministry, everybody is involved in this to make sure we have peace in this country. So we are also working with government, with Sonon Asogli management, and hopefully they will all come to reason that it is not right to deny workers our right to form or join a union. That is what all the points we are making in meetings and so on, we want them to appreciate. That even though these 3 friends, our 3 brothers, are in the middle of this whole thing, it is about the rights of workers. And we are defending the rights of workers. And we will keep defending the rights of workers until people respect our rights.
So the Labour Front, that is organized labour, says that the strike will still happen on July 10th. But then again, the Deputy Minister of Labour, that is Bright Wekubebe, when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee yesterday, made mention of the fact that this impasse will be addressed and is going to end soon. And the organized labour, they have staged a demonstration before. They went to the gate of Sonon Asogli. These are the ones given access into the premises and all that. But looking at how this issue is happening, today is Friday, and Monday, if nothing is being done about this situation, certainly the strike is happening.
It won't appear that there is going to be a labour shutdown, because if you look at members of organized labour, a lot of associations are in there, a lot of groups. So if this is what is going to happen, I mean, it's going to be tough on the labour front from next week. But I mean, when this particular issue even came up, you realize that the company in question, that Sonon Asogli, was actually clear in its mind that, well, it has done nothing wrong, and so there is no way it's going to reconsider its decision, because it's travelled for months, and they've held demonstrations to make sure that these 3 persons are actually reinstated. But it appears that is not happening. And beyond the threats of demonstration and
it looks
strike,
like Sonon Asogli is not bothered about the threats.
It's not bothered at all.
You are going
it's
on
not bothered. I remember,
you are embarking on a strike.
I remember the statement they issued in the aftermath of this particular issue. And they also said that, well, TUC and the Ghana Mines Workers are actually provided you not done anything wrong, and I mean, they've given all in. They make the point that, well, it's freedom of association. You decide which group you want to, labor group you want to. But they also say that, well, this is a security installation site. You just don't come in there and come and demonstrate or raise concerns because some workers have been dismissed. And so you breach their privacy. You entered their premises without permission, and you've done so. I mean, because you've sinned or you've erred, there is no cause for you to, ask for the appropriate thing to be done or what is due you. And that's actually the explanation the company gave in their letter to ensure that, they put matters at rest. But after that particular statement, we've not really heard from the company. Have there been negotiations? I do not think those things have happened because of, the quest of, organized labor to, lay down their tools from Monday. And it's difficult for organized labor and for us as, citizens, because the impact of, this particular. At this point, it's very difficult to even say that the two parties should engage.
I would take the deputy minister's word for it. Now that he stated that some form of agreement will be reached so that the issue be resolved amicably. I think that once Bright Rikubobe has stated that should happen, so that we shouldn't see the strike happening on July 10. You are still watching CNR Extra here on City TV, still to come. NPP concludes flag bearer vetting process with Michael Quay. Committee expected to present report on July 10. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with that story.
City TV is live on DSTV. Find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117. And on HD Plus, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD Plus boxes. City TV, it's your world.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. Let's bring you some more stories. And the NPP has concluded the flag bearer vetting process.
The New Patriotic Party has wrapped up the vetting of flag bearer hopefuls for its presidential primaries. The Okwe Committee is now expected to present its report to the National Council on July 10. The following report details a wrap of the 4-day event.
The New Patriotic Party is getting closer to select a flag bearer to lead the party into the 2024 elections. The party just completed the vetting process for all 10 aspirants. The vetting process, which began on July 3 at the party's campaign office, was done serenely and without the chaos that characterized the filing of nominations weeks ago. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, former Trades Minister Alan Chemating, and private business executive Kwadwo Poku began the process. First to face the vetting committee headed by former Speaker of Parliament Professor Michael Quay was Alan Chemating. Mr. Chemating is contesting to be flag bearer of the party after 3 previous failed attempts. Alan Chemating, who is regarded as one of the front-runners in the flag bearer race, was buoyant after the vetting process.
I've just had the opportunity of going through the vetting process for presidential aspirants for our party, and I had a good interaction with the committee. As you're all aware, I've been through this exercise on several other occasions, so I'm quite familiar and comfortable with this process. I will start my constituency tours in Greater Accra. I have decided that I'll introduce an innovation into my constituency tours by clustering constituencies for the purpose of bringing our party executives together, not just within their own constituencies, but in a few other constituencies in the cluster. That will help energize the rank and file of our party. I mean, it's all about making sure that we work together as a party in our march towards victory 2024.
Next to face vetting was private business executive Kojo Poku. The energy consultant, who is relatively unknown in the race, has been confident about his chances since he made public his intention to contest. Kojo Poku revealed that he received an applause from the committee after his vetting.
Started this process last year, February, and with all the support I have across the nation, it shows that I am the one who the youth of this nation are looking forward to. I don't see anyhow any form that I'm going to look. The 5 that is going to be shortlisted, I am one of the first people that will come through the shortlist. Then from that, the November election, inshallah, I will most definitely win the election. Like I said, it's a family matter and it's confidential. As you are aware, only me were allowed into the vetting. And basically what transpired is the processes that we have gone through, verifications of the documentation that we presented, and a conversation among ourselves. I think some people's one took 2 hours. So 1 hour is the shortest that I think has been. It means that everything went well. The conversation was smooth. I answered all the questions they asked the best of my ability.
The last candidate on the first day of vetting was Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia is seeking to replace his boss, the president, as leader of the NPP, and many regard him as a leading candidate. The vice president's arrival at the party's campaign office was greeted with a heavy presence of state security. Vetting continued into Tuesday, July 4. 3 more aspirants were billed to appear. The first aspirant for the day was former Energy Minister Boakye Jakun. Mr. Jakun, who is contesting to lead the NPP for the first time, was Energy Minister under President Akufo-Addo for a year. After the vetting, Mr. Jakun declined media interview as requested by the committee. Former General Secretary of the party, Kwabena Agyapong, followed Jakun on the second day. Kwabena Agyapong was found guilty of violating party rules and was suspended as General Secretary in 2015. He has returned to vie for the flag bearership position, having failed in 3 previous attempts. Kwabena Agyapong is campaigning on a new dawn mantra.
My advice to the National Executive, I've been a General Secretary myself, when you have an even-handed process and it produces a leader, it facilitates unity amongst us, and I think that as a political party, MPP, we have the numbers. If we are a cohesive unit, we are united, and we have a decent, fair process, and then the chances that we can really win in 2024 gets enhanced.
Tuesday's vetting session was climaxed with the Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Agyapong. The session for the first-time contender Kennedy Agyapong lasted for close to 3 hours. The premises of the party's campaign office was filled with a crowd of supporters who cheered on their Asin Central MP before and after his vetting. On day 3 of the vetting process, Dr. Kofi Kunadu-Apreku, a former trades minister with a presidential ambition that dates to 2007 when 17 people contested the NPP's presidential primaries, was the first to be vetted. Dr. Apreku has been touting his experience in economic management and policy making. His time with the committee lasted for a little under 2 hours. A former Agric minister, Dr. Owusu Koto, followed right after Dr. Apreku. The former Agric minister, after his vetting, which lasted about 2 hours, spoke of how well delegates are receiving his message.
We started Greater Accra, and the reception has been wonderful. Really, really good. We'll continue tomorrow in Central Region. Then we go to Eastern Region, Ashanti. We're doing of the regions, not necessarily finishing every region before moving to another region. It's amazing. The message is going very well with the delegates. They realize that we are very much aware of their situations, and they are very confident that under my leadership, the party will grow stronger and stronger, and break the 8 amnesty.
Jogate, the Member of Parliament for Esikado Ketan, was the last candidate to go through vetting on Thursday. Jogate was confident about making the 5 candidates to be chosen for November's Congress. He was also unperturbed by concerns of an uneven playing field.
Maybe I'm blind. Maybe you can tell me about how the playing field is not level. But you see, I talked to somebody who said to me that, oh, so. And I said that you haven't talked to the master statistician. He said, who is the master statistician? I said, the master statistician is God. Whether they play, I've faced worse things in my life. So, I'm not faced by anything you do or say.
So you don't think any of the candidates is being favored against the others?
Favored in what way? I mean, everything cuts both ways. Favored in what way? There's an advantage in incumbency, there's a disadvantage in incumbency. Everything cuts both ways. I mean, I'm not going to spend my time thinking about other candidates. I'm going to spend my time thinking about Jogate and the people of Ghana. I'm going to spend my time thinking about what will happen if, by God's grace, on January 7, 2025, I'm sworn in as President of Ghana.
Former MP for Mampong, Francis Adenimo's vetting culminated the process on July 6. Mr. Adenimo, who is not new to the NPP presidential race, was confident about his chances after the process.
This is an in-house matter, so just to assess your qualifications for the position that I'm seeking, that is to lead the party. So the engagement was smooth, cordial, friendly, and refreshing.
At the end of the entire process, the Okwe vetting committee addressed the media.
The party, in submitting this, has listed under duties and responsibilities.
We wish all 10 of them all the best, but then again, on August 26, the party will convene a special delegate conference to select 5. The 5 will then move for the November 4 elections for the presidential primary.
Well, that's if the committee actually passes all 10 of them.
Exactly,
because
yeah.
if there are more than 5, that's where the special delegates conference.
And we expect that the committee will come up with a report on July 10. That is Monday.
That's Monday, because they have a week to complete all the process. But it was a well-organized, vetting. We didn't hear of any, major concerns, issues raised by any of, the aspirant. And so I think the NPP has actually started well in the lead up to the selection of a flag bearer. I hope that this will continue.
And all of them have kick-started
their campaigns. Well, everyone is optimistic.
The Vice President is in the Ashanti region campaigning. Alan was in the Greater Accra region. Also, Dr. Efi Akoto also in the Greater Accra region. And all of them are also moving parts of the country.
It's going to be an interesting one. So we are hoping to watch this particular space.
Righty, so this is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on CCTV. My name is Philip Nilate. I did this with me, Latte. Many thanks for your time and keep watching CCTV.